Blog Talk Radio.
Never mind the stars in the sky. Never mind the when and the why. Got a feeling higher than high. This is the real thing.
Unlimited radio show. I am your host, H.E.R.S. Woo! Boy, I tell you, it is a wonderful to be here this holiday season. I'm hoping everybody had a great Christmas with their friends and family, and everybody staying safe and watching what you eat and all that, you know. But anyway, I'm glad everybody's having a good time. We are going to have a great time. I have missed you guys last week. I was not available, but my team, my beautiful co-host, Mr. Sean, was available along with Kevin. I want to thank them so much. I've got a great, I tell you, boy, these are my partners. These are going to be my partners for life, and I'm so thankful that I have the privilege of being able to host the show with them as well. And I would like to introduce our co-host, Miss LaShawn. How are you doing, LaShawn?
I am great. How are you today?
Hey, I woke up today, you know. So when I woke up today, that was God telling me, say, hey, I'm not done with you yet, but buddy, I'm not done with you yet. So it's another blessed day today.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
And how you been doing with your travel? I know you've been traveling over the holidays, hanging out over in the West Coast. How you doing over there?
I am fabulous. I am still on the West Coast, and I will be here for just a little while longer. So I plan on enjoying every moment of it. Just kicking back, relaxing, having some fun. So, you know me, just doing what I do.
There you go. That's awesome. And I just want you to make sure you be safe in your travels and then definitely enjoy yourself because you definitely deserve it. You're a hard-working lady and you deserve to have some fun.
Oh,
And I
thank
want to
you.
let everybody know that we are going to have a special guest in the second half of the show. And we're going to be talking to a new author. Her name is Miss Ivy Box. And Ivy is going to be promoting her new book called the 365 Go Get H.E.R.S guide. And she's going to come in and explain to you about the acronym H.E.R.S, and she's going to explain to you about the book. So we're looking forward to hearing from her this afternoon. And you know something, I want to let everybody know that this is a live show, and you can call in to the live show. We want you to interact with us. And you know what? I want to thank everybody. I've been looking at our Twitter account, and you know something? I have been really impressed. You guys have definitely been listening. We are now, you know what, LaShawn? Do you know that we are now up to almost 7,000 followers on our Twitter, which is pretty awesome.
I did not know that. Great job.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So we're doing something, and I thank you because I've been asking you, asking our guests to definitely follow us, and you have definitely been doing it. And we are just under 7,000 followers. That is pretty cool. Right at the end of the year as well. So obviously we must be doing something correct, and we're entertaining you, and we love you for that. And we want to remind our callers to dial into the show at 347-843-4559. Once again, that number is area code 347-843-4559. We want you to inform everyone you know. Send it out. Keep doing what you're doing, because whatever you're doing it right. Send it out on your social media. Uh, we want you to call in and just give us some comments, just to say hello. Let us know how you feel about the show. Let us know if you got particular topics that you'd like to hear about. And keep in mind that this show is about relationships. That's why we call it Love Unlimited. So inform everyone to follow us on Twitter at LoveUNL Radio. And we want you to be able to post your comments or questions. So once again, remind everyone, tell everybody to listen to the show. And when you dial in, if you want to speak to either myself, LaShawn, you want to make any kind of comments, just go ahead and when you dial in, click 1 along with the star sign to be placed in the queue, and we will only mention the last 4 digits of your phone number. Okay? So you have to pay attention and make sure that when you're in queue, listen for your last 4 digits of your number, and that means you will be live. Now, you can also call in to participate in the live show with your comments. We deeply encourage that, and make sure to understand this is an interactive show. And once again, our guest tonight will be Miss Ivy Box, author of the 365 Go Get H.E.R.S guide. Now, what I would like to speak about, first of all, before I actually get started, so you know what I want to do? I want to say thank you. I have had some great support over this holiday weekend, and I want to thank my sister soldier, Miss Carolyn, for taking the time out of her busy day for helping me out. And I want to say thank you, girl. And also want to thank Mom. Mom, I'm just thanking you because I love you. You know, Mom is going through her challenges with her cancer, and she's hanging in there. She's a tough girl. And Mom, we love you. And I'm glad that you're enjoying the holiday season, and we're looking for many more holiday seasons together as well. And so we're going to go ahead and move along. And, you know, Miss LaShawn, tell me about your holiday. I know that you've been traveling and stuff like that, but tell me, how was your Christmas?
My Christmas was a lot of fun. My fiance and I flew out of Atlanta into Las Vegas on Christmas Eve. So that was, you know, a lot of fun, us traveling together and everything like we always do. And, okay, I have to share a little story with you because, you know, we evolve within our relationships at every moment of every day. And it's interesting because I was tested in the area of patience on Christmas morning. So, this is what happened. My fiance opened up one of his gifts, and I've seen him open up gifts before. You know, he's received gifts from me before, but there was something about opening up Christmas gifts that he opens them differently than he does birthday gifts. And he takes the box and he begins to very, very carefully undo the tape, unwrap the paper, and I just shut down on him. And I'm looking at him like, are you for real? It is taking you longer to open the box than it took me to actually wrap it. And I'm sitting here like, but it's his gift. He can open it any way he wants to. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to say anything. So he opens it up on one end and he happens to just peek inside the box instead of ripping off the rest of the paper. And by that time, my patience was gone. And I had to ask him, I was like, are you serious? What are you doing? Are you peeking? Open the box. It's the paper. Rip it up. Oh, no. This is how I open up Christmas gifts. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to die. So my inner child is totally opposed to this whole thing. And I bring this up because, you know, it's the little things in life that make it worthwhile. And so many people could have easily gotten into an argument over something that's supposed to be fun and exciting. And I really had to sit back and say to myself, everyone does not open gifts the way that you do. You know, I get a box, I'm ripping the paper over. That paper is no longer any good. It's in, you know, a million different pieces depending on how well, you know, it was wrapped and taped and everything. And he does it completely different. So the paper is still there. I can actually use it again next year because it's in such great condition. You wouldn't even know that a box was in there. And I'm just like, oh, my gosh, you are totally kidding me. So he takes out the box. He looks at it. He's all excited about it. And it was a drone, by the way. So he's very excited about it. You can hook a camera up to it. He looks at the box a little bit. He pulls it out. And then he puts it back in the box. And now I'm really, like, totally not understanding what's going on. Because, again, it's Christmas. You get your gift. You're supposed to pull it out, enjoy it, look through it, you know, get it up and running. That was the vision that I had in my head. Well, unbeknownst to me, that whenever my fiance gets a toy or something like that as a gift, that he likes to read through the entire instruction manual first and then play with it a few days to as much as a week later. I was done. When I tell you that my inner child was spazzing out, and I'm just like, oh, my God, you are killing me right now. He's like, no, I like to savor this moment. So he puts it back in the box, and I'm sitting there like, oh, my God, I can't believe this, because right now I'm ready to play with it. So he literally, this was Christmas morning, he did not open it. And, well, he opened it. He was reading through the instruction manual for the last couple of days. And finally today, he put everything together, took it outside, and he played with his drone. So that
wow.
is to say that in your relationships, you know, everybody does not do things the way that we do them. And it's, you know, our perception is our reality, not everybody else's. And it's the perception of it. So, you know, I had to learn to embrace, to let it go, and, you know, allow him to enjoy his gift when he chose to enjoy it. And for me, you know, that was quite a bit, you know, of a little bit of a challenge. And not that I was going to get angry and yell or scream or anything like that, but there are people out there who would have gotten offended and wanted them to change their pattern. And, you know, that's part of getting along in a relationship, is understanding that you have your patterns and your partner has their patterns as well. And we have to learn to respect, even if we don't like it, because I still don't like what he did. But it's not for me to like. It's his gift, and he gets to do whatever he wants to do with the paper and the box and everything else. So that's how my Christmas went. It was a struggle just watching him with his.
Mr. Fiance, if you're listening to the show, I'm going to tell you that is one of the weirdest openings I have ever heard. So that I can
Agreed.
tell, I can tell he was very, I know he was smiling from ear to ear. He was very happy. But you know something? That is very interesting. That's the first. That is a first I've ever heard of that. So it sounds like you're going to have a lot of recycled Christmas wrapping
Oh my
in the
gosh.
house, in the household.
That you know what? I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it and I'm cracking up and his brother sees it. He goes, "Yeah, you can just use it again, right?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess I can because it doesn't to begin with." So yeah, so that's how that works. And yeah, that was a totally different experience for me, and just the whole thing. But I sit back and I laugh at it now, and he really is enjoying it and everything. And come to find out, those drones are actually very, very sensitive, because it has the camera and the way you cut it on and the way it takes off, and there's certain regulations about flying over people's houses. So there actually was a lot of information, and it really is a great thing that he decided to read through everything before he took it outside and decided to play with it. I personally wouldn't have done quite that much and taken quite as long. I would have been looking for the cliff note version.
Exactly.
Okay, and kind of
Charging it
figuring
up.
out
You'd
what
have been
not.
charging it up.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Figuring out what not to do as I'm actually using it, but
Hmm.
to each his own, and we really do just have to learn how to just love and respect each other, in their own space with their own stuff. So yeah, so that was how Christmas went for me. And what about yourself? How was your holiday?
That was a lesson, and I'm going to tell you. You know what the undercurrent of all of that is? That man really loves you. I'm going to tell you right now. He really
You
adores
got
you,
all
and he
that from
really
wrapping
loves you.
paper?
Yeah,
You
the
got
way
all
he, the way you describe that, he loves and he really adores you. He does. So
Oh, well, I accept that. I don't see it, but okay. Well, I see it, but not through the gift, not through that process. I wasn't seeing it or feeling it in that process.
because
But
you
if you
make
say
him
it's
very
there, okay,
comfortable for him to be him, and that's the key. You make him very comfortable for him to be him. So that's really important. That's
gotcha.
yeah,
Very
that's
good.
what that is. Anyway, in regards to my Christmas was actually quiet. I had a breakdown on Friday, just before Chris. Chris was on Monday. I had a breakdown on Friday, so it actually interrupted my travel plans. And but it was okay because you know something, it was I was able to communicate with everyone, and we actually made plans, and it actually turned out to be pretty interesting because now we made plans to do the after Christmas shopping with both of my daughters.
Awesome. I like it. I like it.
So, what I love about them is both of my daughters, I have been so blessed because I have daughters that don't complain. They just don't
Oh,
complain.
good.
Even when I'm expecting them to, they just don't complain. They just go with the flow, and it's like, we know Dad loves us, and I love them, and they
Oh,
know that and they show me their love by showing me their patience. They are very patient, and it's a large age difference between the two. My youngest is 16, and my oldest is in her 40s, and so between the two of them, and they love each other very much. They really act like sisters, and they are so patient. So that was my gift. My gift was receiving that love from them, not complaining about everything, and the only thing they want to know is, Dad, you okay? That's all. That's all we care about. That's okay. And they know I'm going to make it up to them when we go Christmas shopping, which is coming up next week. So I'm going to have a ball with them. That's something that I don't do all the time. I rather buy gifts and give. I do not really like going out to the mall and shopping, especially with ladies. I I really don't too much. But yeah, that is challenging. That is very, very challenging. But at the end of the day, I love being with them. I love taking them out to eat, and just having the time with them. So, yes, it was. I had a peaceful Christmas, and Christmas actually, this Christmas really gave me a chance to really be appreciative about life in general. I had an opportunity to sit back and think about everything that has happened in 2017, and it put a smile on my face. I realized that I have good friends, I have good family, I'm healthy, and have so much to look forward to, and what I have been able to accomplish this year, and you're part of it too, LaShawn. Knowing that I've got a team of people like Kevin, our executive producer, and I have my co-host LaShawn, and it just made me realize that I am very, very grateful to be here and to be surrounded by such positive energy. So that's what's Christmas for me.
Beautiful. Well, that sounds really, really nice. And you'll be with your daughters, but at any given time, it doesn't have to be Christmas. If you want to get me a gift, that is an open invitation. So I want you to keep that in your mind as well. That as you are out shopping, if you just say, "Hey, I bet my co-host would like that," you're probably right. Go ahead.
LaShawn, you have one coming. There's no doubt about it. You have one coming. There's no doubt about that. By the time you get back, yes, you do have a gift coming. No question about it. Got to take care of all the sisters. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. I absolutely love it. And it's interesting because we went riding around for to look at holiday lights, and I was so disappointed. And thank you, Kevin, by the way. He sent me a text message with some places to go to look at lights. And I thought that one of the places was an actual neighborhood, but it was actually just one house, and it was very beautifully decorated. But it was really kind of sad for me because I was like, growing up as a child, you could drive down any neighborhood, and there would be plenty of houses decorated. Maybe not all of them, but the majority of them. And now I'm driving around, and we're just like, are you kidding me? There's nothing here, and by the time we did it, it was kind of late, and all the other places, were closed, like the Botanical Garden and a few other different locations. And I know to each his own, but as adults we had sometimes say, well, the holidays aren't the same, and it's not the same because as an adult, yes, there is buying presents, but you don't have to. And it really should be a choice as to how much you're going to spend and not overdoing it, but remembering to capture the heart and the essence of the holiday season. And I think so many people get so caught up in all the things that don't matter that they lose sight of the things that do. So I was able to go out, see the lights that I did. We really enjoyed ourselves, doing that. And it's just the little, it's festive. Looking at the lights, listening to the music, drinking hot chocolate is all a part of the season. And I really enjoyed it, and it was funny because I was so disappointed that I didn't see more houses that I believe it was the next day we were watching something on television, and he happened to find a station that was showing different houses that were doing these elaborate light displays. And he goes, come here, I got something for you. And I sat down, and I got to see lights one way or another. So that was kind of exciting. And it brightens my holiday because it's the little things. If you have to have the big boxes or the little boxes and every size in between, you begin to pull away from the essence of the holiday because now you're looking at what you just can get from people, what you're going to receive instead of just the sharing and the caring. And, I would be more than willing to totally pull gifts off the table if necessary, if it ever became an issue and we weren't able to just truly enjoy one another's love and company during the holiday season. So just some things for everyone to think about this evening. Yes. Something, and, you had me visioning already when you started talking about lights, and I was looking at some of the lights that I found down here in the, it's interesting, too, because we're living in an area, at least in Georgia. Georgia experienced quite a bit of snow this year. I think they had like 8 inches of snow about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Was it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Kevin?
Yeah, but that must have been up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was up in Kennesaw. Yeah, Kennesaw and higher. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had 8 inches. It was fun.
And that's very rare, very rare. And it's interesting. Growing up north, both Kevin and I grew up in New York, and we grew up watching our snowfalls and things like that every year. And I have to admit, if it wasn't for the lights, just like you're saying, LaShawn, I lost that feeling when I first moved to Florida and experienced my first Christmas with no snow. It was just nothing. And it was the lights that actually saved that, that emotional feeling that you have. Because, when I think of Christmas, I think of baking, because one of the things we do, we always bake cookies and stuff for Christmas. And I think about and the lights, and it's just something about seeing a bunch of lights with the reindeers and Santa. And it's something about that whole concept. It really brings it brings a cheerfulness out of you. And no matter what kind of mood or what kind of day you're having, there's something about looking at those lights. And I think growing up and watching a lot of the shows that we grew up with about the holidays with the snowman and I can't think of my gentleman's name. I'm thinking about the narrator. Ives, what is his name? I'm thinking about the narrator, but we grew up
Burl
listening
Ives.
to him. Burl Ives, thank you.
Is it Burl Ives? Burl Ives? Yeah.
I think it's Burl Ives, and he's passed away. But we grew up listening to his voice and listening to the Christmas stories every single year for many, many years, and it's become part of who we are. And so you are absolutely right, and I like that, LaShawn, that you embrace that, and it doesn't matter how old you get. You embrace that still just like a child, because that is the inner child that we keep, that we keep warm and we keep, and it's very enlightening to us. And so, I appreciate you sharing that, because I have the same feeling. I love looking at the Christmas lights. I love looking at the Times Square, when they have the big tree up in Times Square. I love all of that stuff, and it's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that's the year. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what I did different this year. When 2 weeks before Christmas, I had this urge to do something to give back to the community. And I noticed that there's a lot of people that do a lot of things for the homelessness around the Christmas season. And I've been noticing that over the years. And I know people do a lot of the same. Like one of the things my daughter, my youngest, before she was a teenager, we used to go to the Children's Hospital. We used to go ahead and buy gifts, and we used to just take gifts and take them to the Children's Hospital, and particularly like the Cancer Center, and we used to just give gifts, to a lot of the children, and that was a great feeling that we used to have, and that's something that I shared with my daughter for quite a few years, but this year, I wanted to do something that was for the company of Max Mobile, where we could give back to the community. So I actually created, my team and we created an app for the homeless it's called Homeless America. And we actually launched the first one just recently. It's in the App Store, and it's actually going to be for Atlanta. And so what we're going to do right now is, I'm sorry, we're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm going to go ahead and finish the story, and then we're going to, it's going to be very quick, and I'm going to tell you exactly what we're doing with the homeless, and then how we're going to get involved with that. And I'm going to show you how that's also part of relationships. Dealing with people that are indigent or people who are homeless, that's all developing relationships with people. So we'll talk to you. We'll see you in a quick break, and I'll continue that story then.
Welcome to the Love Unlimited radio show. This new show will offer listeners a unique perspective that will come from both married and single individuals who are trying desperately to find and maintain that true love that everyone so much desires. Dating shows are nothing new, but they're nearly always entertaining. Some of the most weird and awkward moments in dating are often not seen or mentioned. The question is, how many people in America ever find true love? I would guess not a high percentage, but that sure doesn't mean we don't keep trying at any age.
The Love Unlimited radio show, hosted by AJ and LaShawn, will give you the real scoop in a positive perspective. We will discuss those topics that most tend to keep to themselves or just too embarrassed to talk about. Everything from online dating, marriages, divorces, along with conversations from LaShawn's new book, I'm Not an Option. This show is provocative and informative, giving our listeners an interactive voice they can use to help find that true love.
Tune in each week as we will discuss topics and conduct interviews on love and relationships in the new millennium. You can hear us directly on your smartphones each week by dialing 347-843-4559. Once again, that's 347-843-4559, or follow us on Twitter at LoveUNL Radio. Thanks for listening. Get ready. Confunction's 45-year anniversary cruise, hosted by radio personality Connie Breeze. This 5-day cruise leaving from New Orleans, traveling to Cozumel and the Yucatan, includes live entertainment from the legendary R&B artist Confunction, Brick, Sherelle, Wait, There's More, the voice of Steve Arrington, Yarborough and Peoples, Club Nouveau, and Miss Superwoman herself, Karen White.
Register for your tickets today for this 45th anniversary cruise package and event, May 12th to 17th, 2018. Available only through Annie's Fantasy Cruises.
Call 844-855-3386. Once again, that is 844-855-3386. Or download the Confunction app from the Play Store or iTunes to reserve your tickets.
Reserve your tickets today by calling 844-855-3386.
That is Call Me from Mr. Phil Perry. And you know, that is just a nice way of reminding everybody, if you want to talk to our special guest this evening, or like I said, you want to make a comment about the show, go ahead and call us. Call us at 347-843-4559. And like I said, if you like to make a comment, we're going to put you in the queue. You have to hit press 1 and star to be placed in the queue, and then we'll go ahead and mention your last 4 digits of your number, and you will be live. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our special guest this evening. This is the lovely Miss Ivy Box, who has a new book called The 365 Go Get H.E.R.S. It is a guide, and you know something? I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce about the acronym, because I think that's pretty neat. How you doing, Miss Box?
Hi, good evening, good evening. How are you doing?
Hey, you know, we woke up today.
Yes.
It's another blessed day today. It's another blessed day today. Well, you are special. You are a special guest on the Love Unlimited show. And I'd like to introduce you also to my beautiful co-host, who's also, I don't know what it is about you beautiful ladies with these books. I think that's something else. But Miss LaShawn is also an author of a woman's guide. And Miss LaShawn, this is Ivy LaShawn. How are you?
Hi, how are you? It's nice to meet you.
I am great. It's wonderful to meet you, and I'm grateful to have you on the show this evening.
And I'm grateful to be here.
So, Ivy, let us know about what was it that made you create this book? I know this is something that probably took some time, but what was that influenced you?
Well, the book, it's called The 365 Go Get H.E.R.S Guide. That's the full title. And H.E.R.S stands for Happiness, Education, Respect, Success. And the book is about what you want, when you want it, how to get it, and making it happen. So now that that's out the way, I was influenced just for several years, actually. Around the time that I actually met you, I was considering writing a book, and that's almost about 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago. I'm not going to age myself. But I was talking to friends. I was really at the height of, not at the height of my career, because, you know, there's always heights to go to. But I was really involved in my career. I was doing so many things around town, and I just had the idea to write this book to kind of show people, you know, how to do what I was doing. And for some reason, it didn't work out that way. You know, years passed. I was doing a lot of research during these last during these last 10 years. And I was going through some ups and downs. I had career changes, financial issues, and I was just rebuilding myself mentally, physically, spiritually, and socially as well. And I realized when I really sat down to write this book, I realized that the reason why I didn't write it back then was because God wasn't ready for me to come out. I wasn't ready. I hadn't done my 10,000 hours yet. So now that my 10,000 hours has been done, I've, you know, made a mark in the community. I've made a mark within myself, and I've grown professionally, mentally, spiritually, and financially. Now it was time for me to write this book. And so it has a whole different perspective than it would have had if I had written it 10 years ago. So I'm very, very excited that now God chose this to be the time that I come out with this book, because I'm actually ready, if that makes sense.
Wow. That makes perfectly good sense. And I really have to jump in right here because I resonate with everything that you just said. The book that I just released this past September, I feel that exact same way, that as much as I would have loved to have written it years ago, which I started writing it, it was just a year ago. It was the end of summer of 2016, and then by the end of summer 2017, I had released it. But what's interesting is this is my third book, and the title of my very first book, which is Woman Within, Loving, Accepting, and Empowering Your Authentic Self. And I realize now that I was not really in the place to accept and embrace my platform. So it took for me to do another book and then this most recent one to fully step into it. And then one day as I was practicing a talk, because I'm also a speaker, and as I was practicing the talk, the words just flowed out of me that is my platform. And I had been questioning and going back and forth, and now it was just like all of a sudden the clarity, the determination, the knowing that, yes, now is the time to walk forward and to really, push everything ahead. It just surged within me. So I completely resonate with that. When you talk about Go Get H.E.R.S and you say the happiness, the education, the respect, and the success, tell us what that looked like for you. Because, a lot of people write self-help books and it's just do this, do that, but they don't really pull themselves into the book. So tell me what happiness looks like to you and your journey over the past decade, how you were able to bring that out now.
I'm able to bring that out now because I'm able to define it for myself now. And before, in general, we were defining success by what we saw other people doing, what society told us success was and is, what our respect level was, what our educational level had to be, and how it didn't have to be defined by, degrees, even though I have several. And,
okay.
That doesn't define your education. That doesn't define your happiness. That doesn't define what respect is to you, and that doesn't define what success is to you. And before, I think a lot of people fall into that trap where, especially in the social media age, where we're allowing others to define that for us. And now I realize that I'm the only one that can determine my happiness. I'm the only one that can determine what my education level is and, how I choose to feed myself and what my respect level is and what I consider success. And that's the kind of gift that I feel like after reading this book that everyone will get. Like, it's not about everybody else. It's about you and what you define to be,
That is so beautiful, and you're absolutely right about defining ourselves, especially as women, because I think that it's just a little bit more challenging. Not that it's not challenging for men, because I know some men say it's challenging for us too, and yes, it is. But this book was written for women, and just staying with that topic and the subject matter, for women, it becomes so easy for us to get caught up and to begin to define ourselves through other things and people. For example, when a woman gets married and has children, well, she becomes known as such and such as mom and his wife. Even when somebody just says Mrs. such and such, it's a salutation that declares that she's married and then his last name. And it's like, well, where is she in all of this? Because before she was wife and mom, she was herself. And even as she's wife and mom, she needs to continue to, like you said, define herself. So that's extremely important. And did you notice a change within yourself when it comes to your relationships as you grew throughout these years and when you were writing this book?
Yes, I did, because like I was saying before, you were defining it by what society says it is, and not realizing, especially when it comes to relationships, whether it's, platonic or whether it's somebody that you're, seriously dating or something like that, you all have to define it individually together. So you have your definition of who you are, they have their definition of who they are, and you all have to come together and redefine what you all are together. Still keeping your definition of who you are and him still keeping his, but then together y'all have, and it can change. It's okay if it changes, It's okay if you change this career path. It's okay if you get into another relationship. It's okay if you move. It's okay if you change your hair. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. You have the right to change the definition that you gave yourself as well. You don't have to stick to it. And I think some people feel trapped. Like, I am wife, I am mother, I am daughter, and that's all I am, But it changes, and it's okay.
Now, how do you suggest that
women, and I know I'm taking all of Ivy's time right now. I'm gonna throw it to you in just a second, Ivy. I have this one last question I want to ask her. Well, at least one of a few more questions. But how do you suggest to women that they not get lost and that they keep that identity, as you just said, of, you know, being wife and mother and everything else? What do you suggest or advise for women so that they can keep defining themselves as time goes on?
Just keep finding yourself. You know, find time for yourself. Find the things that you love to do and do them. Like, people get real busy, especially if you're a wife and a mother. You get real busy. You can get real caught up in your career, but you have to remember to make time for yourself. And you have to remember to, you know, date yourself. You have to remember to pamper yourself and get that alone time. That way you can hear your own thoughts. Even if it's in the shower, like, take a little bit longer to take a shower, and you can kind of, like, you know, listen to your own thoughts and you know, talk to yourself and figure out what you want to do and how you want to do it at that particular moment, for that particular week, for that particular month, and for that particular year. You know, take some time for yourself.
Awesome. I love it.
I'm loving the synergy between the two of you. Ivy, you know something? I want to ask both of you as writers, and both of you being African American women, how much does white America influence? Because we all grew up in white America, and what I mean by that is the rules and regulations. You know, as far as basically just how everything is structured. How much of that influenced you in regards to your personal relationships? Because, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I noticed that I was reading an article just recently about 4 myths of black marriages. And both of you are basically empowering what women can do. And what I like about that is basically of women, because women have a different power than men do. But we can't do without each other. But what I want to ask you is, the way you were raised, tell me how much did that influence you because if you think about it, as you were being raised from little girls, you had to be influenced by your parents, you had to be influenced by your peers, and as you've gotten older, and you know, as women usually do mature, and I'm not going to say usually, they do, women mature faster than men do. So my question to both of you, and Ivy, you can answer this first. How much did this influence you in regards to how you were feeling about putting this when you were formatting your book? White America has certain rules and regulations, and how did that influence you in your own personal relationships?
I don't want to just say white America. I want to say America in general. Had, you know, it goes back to that definition thing. There was a definition. Society, let's call it. Society defines what beauty was, what relationships were, how you were supposed to act and be, and you know, as a young lady, and the things that you were supposed to do to be successful. So, like, society in general put this sort of standard of what they thought was beauty, what they thought, you know, relationships were. And those are the things that we thought and that we thought were the truth, until you kind of grow up and you realize, okay, a lot of this stuff is a facade. Half the people that tell you that you need to do this or look like this, they don't even look like this or do that, you know. So I think in general, society has its standards, and when it comes to black and white, especially growing up in the 80s and 90s. There, you know, black power was hot in the 80s, 60s, 70s, or whatever. But now it's being redefined. You know, it's not, people aren't just saying, you know, I'm black and I'm proud. They're actually black and they're proud. And back in the day, I think people were not as proud and not as forward, because there was a standard that we weren't supposed to be, and that white America was right and black was wrong. And I think it's changed in some sort. It's not 100%, but it's gotten better over the years.
Well, I was being very specific, and that's just how I am. The reason why I said white America is because white America was the one that created the definition, and they had control of the media. So a lot of times that we are raised by what we see based on television, based on, as we were growing up, television was a major influence on how we dealt with relationships. If you think about the shows that we were watching growing up before there was before there was a Bill Cosby show, those relationships were basically, if you remember That Girl and Bewitched, and now I'm telling my age, but anyway, what I'm saying is, white America did define how basically Americans grow up, how we deal with our relationships, how basically the man was the breadwinner, the woman stayed home, she raised the kids. And one of the things I realized, being raised by a single mom as well, your jobs were much harder, sometimes much more difficult than the men going out there doing their 9 to 5. But in personal relationships, I'm noticing things have changed because women have evolved to a whole nother different standard. And the reason why I'm saying that, because women now is running. They have a large percentage of corporate America. They're running companies. They're not just a manager anymore. They're actually running their own companies. And the power of a woman has basically manipulated I would say the rules and regulations of personal relationships, because now you have a lot more say-so. You're making your own money, you're buying your own homes, you run your own companies, and so now you have a bigger voice. So I'm just saying, how did that influence you in regards to, now that you saw those standards, when it comes to your own personal relationship? Because a lot of the things I'm sure that you are writing about is based on your own personal experiences. And so those personal experiences are going to influence other people to look at their own. So I commend both of you for what you're doing, because you have taken the time out to be able to express your own, basically your journey. You're taking both of your journeys, and based on your education level, based on your life experiences, based on your personal relationships, you have been able to create a mirror or a reflection for others to be able to view. And so I thank you for that, and I commend you for that, because it takes a lot of strength to be able to do that, because there's a lot of people who are so afraid to be able to express who they are. And now that we live in this digital age, people are now just doing it all, like I said, with social media. Now we're living in a different time where people are now able to express themselves much easier, and they're not needing permission. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think that based on culture's definition of relationships, I think that we have to learn how to maneuver our ways, through this journey. And just like you were saying, I like what you said, because LaShawn has said the same thing, that you had to connect everything from your spiritual, your mental growth, your spiritual growth, your physical growth, and all of that comes into play. So I really commend both of you, because it shows that both of you have tapped into your personal, your inner self. And by tapping into that inner self, it allows you to be able to communicate with the rest of us and show us your path. So I commend you. I commend both of you for that. I thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. and my take on that, when I was writing, mine was, as I'm sure Ivy's was too, just a divine flow of what was necessary to come out of me. I did not consider society, what other people thought, what they felt. It was just simply what was meant for LaShawn to write. And although you raised a lot of valid points about society and how we see things, I was not writing this in a way to go against society. It was simply speaking a truth that I know is true for me and that I know is true for women at large. So even, African American women, but it also affects a lot of Hispanic women and white women and probably Asian women and, and just women around the world. So we have to remember, and I love even in the acronym of H.E.R.S, she mentions the word respect, which is key for me in relationships, because we have to be able to respect and love ourselves, because we ultimately teach people how to treat us. And in relationships and business, that is vitally important. So, when I was writing, I really pulled, again, from me, and I just let everything, the chips fall where they may, per se, not concerned at all about what other people were going to think or say, because there's a certain audience that this book is for. And so my goal was to just talk to those individuals. And if it's not for you, if you don't like it, if you don't agree with it, that is absolutely fine. But being worried about society and pulling all of that in, at least for me, that was not a part of my process.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I really, and this came up in another interview that I did, I really didn't address race. I didn't really address age. I didn't really address ethnicity. I was just writing from a female's perspective. And I don't really feel, and there came times where I didn't even really feel like I was writing it. Like, sometimes I read back and I was like, I wrote this? And I'm like, well, clearly, I know the feeling. Yes, clearly there was a greater power that was working with me in writing this book. So, yeah, I agree with everything that you said.
Now, I'd like you to tell our listening audience, Ivy, how can our listening audience, how can they order your book?
Right now, the book is in pre-orders. The book will launch January 9th at a big release party in Tampa, Florida. But you can reach me, and you can find out everything about the book at missivybox.com. That's MSIVYBOX.com. And my name is Ivy Box, Ivy like poison ivy, and box like mailbox, because some people are like, what? I'm like, yes, that's my name.
Okay, and can you tell us about the near future, about your, I'm sure you're having a book signing or a release party to promote it?
Yeah, so the release party will be January 9th in Tampa, Florida, and I'm also doing a book signing that Saturday during the 18th annual Tampa Bay Black Heritage Festival. They have an author's village, so from 2 to 3 p.m., I will be signing books and taking pictures and doing like a meet and greet as well.
Okay,
Great
that
job.
sounds awesome. Yeah, that is awesome.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
I wish you much success. I want to thank you so much for taking this time to come to our show, and I tell you that was really, really nice, very awesome. And I see much success with your book as well. And I really love the acronym. I like that: happiness, education, respect, and success. That pretty much sums it up. I really like that a lot.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, in regards to the release party, do you have any plans for a book tour coming up anytime this year or within the first quarter?
Yes, I would love to have a book tour. I'm working with someone and putting together a sponsorship packet because, it's going to take some fun. I'm working on something, too. I'll be in New York for the Grammys the weekend of January 26th, 27th, 28th. And we're working on doing a book signing there as well. So if anybody wants to check out, just hit me up on all my social media platforms, on my website, missivybox.com, MSIVYBOX.
Awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Ivy. Like I said, I know you have a very busy schedule, and I thank you so much for taking time out. And we are definitely going to. I'm looking forward to getting my autographed copy now. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-order it and get my autographed copy, which is going to be pretty awesome.
Oh, you know what I want to say? I'm so sorry. With every pre-order, the pre-orders are probably in around January 2nd. But with every pre-order, because I'm first-generation Haitian American, I'm of Haitian descent. So with every pre-order, a translated version of the book will be given to a woman or girl in Haiti. So please go out there, pre-order the book, and for every book that you pre-order, a translated version of the book in Haitian Creole will be donated to a woman or girl, because it starts with our mind first. Everybody talks about Haiti and how they're in whatever situation that they're in, but it starts with the mind. I want to help empower them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ivy, and much success with you and your book. And I definitely look forward to reading it. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to take a break now, and matter of fact, we're going to have another love song during this break, and we're going to play Mickey Howard with Baby Be Mine, and we will see you shortly after. That was Mickey Howard, Baby Be Mine. Boy, I tell you what, I love our old school music. Miss LaShawn, that was a great interview.
It was. I really enjoyed talking to Ivy.
I love the synergy that I was feeling between the two of you. Um, you know something? I was looking at reviewing an article, and I want to make a couple of comments about it and see. I have a question for you and see what I want to get your take on it. I was reading an article, and it was written by a lady by the name of Nadra Corrine. Last name is Nitto, and she actually was written on actually September 11, believe it or not, 9/11 of this year. And the topic is about the top 4 myths about black marriage. And it started off about the first one was black women don't marry. And she created this article, and I was kind of curious, wondering what the percentage of as far as black marriages in this country, and it's definitely been on the decline compared to back from the last 3 decades. And I'm just going to go. I'm not going to go to the whole article, but I just want to name the top 4 myths. One is black women don't marry. The second one is educated black women have it harder. Third, rich black men marry out, basically just saying marry outside of the race. And then the fourth one is black men don't earn as much as black women. Now, let me start with the first one. What is your take about black women don't marry? How do you feel about that?
Well, I disagree with it because black women most certainly do get married. Do we get married as quickly, or are there the numbers within the black community? Probably not, but it's not because black women don't want to be married. So whenever people make a blanket statement like that, I just think that there needs to be a lot more clarity. When you say that black women don't get married, maybe to even say that black women, not as many black women percentage-wise are getting married as white women or Hispanic or wherever they're pulling that number from. But I just think there needs to be clarity with that because black women most certainly do get married. I know some very happily married black women. So, no, can't just agree with that statement in and of itself.
I'm in agreement with you as well. And the second one was educated black women have it harder. Do you find that it's more difficult for women who are educated to get married?
I don't know. I'm not going to say it's because they're educated that they have it harder, but I will say that the woman, depending on what she wants in her life, that some educated women have, they feel as if they have to hide their smarts or they can't really be themselves. And I'm a proponent of, and I tell people this all the time, stop worrying about there not being enough and just focus on yourself because we're each looking for one great man. So you want to marry one man. You don't need 10, 20 of them, whatever, to be interested in you. You just need that one. So get rid of any thoughts or ideals that you may have because I'm sure that there are. And like I said, I've met some and I've talked to some educated women to believe that it's a little bit harder for them, and it's not. And make sure that you're not making it more difficult. And we may have to talk about that next week. So remember that question, AJ. We may talk about that a little bit more in depth next week.
Definitely. And the third one is rich black men marry out. What are your thoughts on that?
Some do, some don't. LeBron James didn't. Dwayne Wade didn't. Denzel Washington didn't. We can look along the lines and we can find a lot of black men that have black wives, and we can also look at a lot of other black men that have wives of other races and cultures. Jay-Z married Beyonce, very beautiful black. So we have it on both sides. And again, I say as women, we just need to focus more on ourselves and focusing on, getting the love of our life. And really allow all that other stuff to go. Do black men date outside the race? Sure they do. We all know this. But, that's not to say that no black man, they're almost talking in absolutes, like no black man ever marries a black woman that's when he's wealthy, and that's totally not true.
Okay. And last but not least is black men don't earn as much as black women. Is that so pretty much in general because there's more black women who are graduating from college than black males?
From what I've read and what I understand, yes, and especially in an area like Atlanta where you have Spelman and you have Clark University and you also have Morehouse and just all the historically black colleges, but per when you do the numbers, I do believe that there are more black women that are getting not just bachelor's degrees, but their masters, MBAs, PhDs, and the like. So, yes, there may be more black women that are making more money than black men. And again, I go back to what I've just said a couple times already, and that is for us to focus on the love and the happiness. And there's always one more. I think that was the greatest lesson that I learned in college. One of my professors said that no matter what's going on in life, there's always room for one more good person. So if you have your stuff together, focus on all the internal stuff. And if you want a black man that makes as much money as you do, believe he exists, live your life happily so that you can attract that black man into your life. Because it is possible. They are out there. We just need to connect with one another.
I like that, though, LaShawn. Let me ask you this last question. For me, I feel more connected in regards to the universe, and what I mean by that, whatever I expect to have in my life, I basically don't really want to focus. I don't focus on the outside. I basically focus on whatever it is that I want to have. I feel that if I focus on being a better me, by being a better
Mhm.
me is whatever I attract, because I do believe in the law of attraction. I solely believe in that. And I feel like whatever it is that I'm attracting in my life, even the bad things, even the things that are not as good, I'll just say that. I have learned that as in my adulthood, I have learned, and especially as I've gotten older, especially starting in my 40s. In my 40s, I started realizing that whatever I achieved or whatever I didn't achieve was by choice. And I realized whatever it was that I wanted to have in my life, I need to look at me, not to be pointing my fingers at others or not pointing fingers at the mate, but make myself the best that I can be, because that is what's going to attract whatever that I'm looking for. Because I leave it because I try not to make all those decisions, because that's where I feel spiritually I have to let myself grow. And I'm going to continue growing from the day that I to the day that I die. And one of the things I feel is important. I noticed that a lot of graduates, people who graduate from uh, once they graduate from college, and if they don't go back uh, rather to get a master's or a PhD. I noticed that in general that most people stop reading. They don't read as much anymore once they get out of school. And I feel like that every year I like to look at what is it that I have learned, whether it's my vocabulary, whether it's something that just the fact of reading. And I think that the more that we focus on, and that's the key word, just what you said, love. But you have to love you. You have to
Yes.
love yourself. And once
Mhm.
you understand about learning to love yourself, it opens up the door, and it creates this valley where now you have other options and you have better options, because the more you love yourself, even when you find something that's not, I think that you will attract what you're looking for. I think you will attract whatever you are. Whatever your character is, that's what you're
Mhm.
going to attract. So you are definitely on point when if you focus more on love and let love do its thing, because love is an entity by itself. It's an energy, and I think when we learn how to love ourselves, we can learn to love our children, we can learn to love our mates, we can learn to love our friends, anything that's around you. We have a better tendency of being able to love, and you will see that in return. But and that's just my thought on it. It's just how I feel about it. And I like the idea that now. Let me ask you something. You have been engaged for how long?
I've been engaged for 6 months now.
Okay. And you have been, and how long did it take you to write your book?
It took me probably, well, the writing process in and of itself was about 5 to 6 months, but the editing, the completion from beginning to end was about a year.
Okay. Let me ask you something, and it's just realistically, since you have been engaged, did you see yourself fluctuating, and as far as in the writing, what you were writing, how much of your engagement was influenced in your book? Does that make sense?
How much of my engagement was the engagement came after the book was pretty much completed, even though the final copies hadn't been printed yet, or the ebook file wasn't ready. So I'm not sure what you mean by how much my engagement influenced it.
Okay, so here's my question to that. Now that I know the exact timing of it, don't you think that what you have written, which is your journey, helps you in regards to attracting that right man for you?
Oh, I see exactly what you're asking. And yes, and you know, when I talk a little bit about this in the book, if you go and you flip through, and I can't remember which chapter it's in, but I talked about the healing process that I took myself through, and releasing anything and everything, and forgiving myself and forgiving others that have done anything to hurt me, and how I just focused on loving myself and having a great time and enjoying my life, and making sure that I had gotten back to that fully. And it was shortly after that, a couple weeks to maybe a month at the most had passed, and then I met the man who was now my fiance. So, within that, all of that happened before the book, and it was just some things that happened during our relationship conversation that we had that actually spawned me to writing the book. And I will say this, the impact that it has had is it causes me to make sure that I am living what I have written in the book, because I talk about certain past experiences, and it's one thing to not be in a relationship and read a relationship book and go, okay, when I get back in a relationship, I'm going to do A, B, C, D. But the reading of it and the application of it are two completely different animals. So now it's about me, especially since I've titled the book, I Am Not an Option, to make sure that I am remaining true to myself, to make sure that the bad habits of the past that I developed, that I am no longer allowing those things to come into this relationship, because they can. So I have to make sure that I'm just truly remaining true to who I am, and everything that I've written in that book, that I did not just write it for other women, but that I am applying it constantly to my life as well.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out, because I think that you're actually living. You're actually living your book, and I think that is the result of what you have. You're part of your journey, and your learning process and how you have grown has prepared you for this upcoming marriage, and that's basically what I wanted to,
Yes.
to see. That was
yes,
all.
Agreed.
That was all.
Mm-hmm.
That was all part of your preparation.
It most certainly was. Yes.
Okay, and I think that in chapter 12, which is making relationships work, I think now that is actually the menu of how to be able to maintain that ongoing relationship, because marriage is a couple things, and basically it's ongoing, and by being ongoing, that means you have to constantly keep learning, and you have to keep practicing and keep doing the things that got you there in the first place. Those things have to continue. And I like the idea of how you were able to create this kind of a map. This is all part of your journey. And I think the way you have written it, I have noticed that, because the more I have started reading your book, the more I started looking at it, and I started visualizing a map. And what the map is, because you have peaks and valleys, and we know we have that in
very
life.
Much so.
And so I was able to, as I was reading your book, and I'm actually now into chapter 11 and 12. And that's what allowed me to be able to ask you this question, because now I started looking at my life, and I started looking at how I started seeing a map, because I'm a planner. And the map was interesting because everything you do is a reflection of who you really are, your true character. And character is being shaped as you grow and as you get older. And I like the idea that now here you are getting married at this time, at this point of your life, and I think that you are literally living your goals. You are literally living, and you have created this journey, which is this map, and you are actually living it in real time. And I like that. And I think it's perfect. The idea here, you are getting married, which is actually a reflection of your book. I think that's awesome. And so I would love to be able to see where you are a couple of years from now, about 5 years from now. And I'm sure we'll still be working together. But 4 or 5 years from now, I honestly see you as a soloist. I see you with your own, huge show. And I think that you are going to influence a lot of people, men and women, and not only just in this country. I think you're going to influence a lot of men and women around the world, because we do live in a global society now, and in this information age, everything is global now. And so we have easy access to information around the world. And at the end of the day, I love how you always keep coming back to that inner core, which is love, because love has no color. Love doesn't have, there is no such thing as racism. That's something that's man-made. There's no such thing as hate, and there's no such thing as negativity when it comes to love. There's no such thing. It's all part of a balancing act. But when you focus on love, that actually triggers the inner light that we all have. We all have this light, which is this energy. And that energy is what pulls everything that we deserve, we will receive. Whether you think it's negative, whether you think it's positive, but you will receive it. Whatever you attract.
Yes.
And so that map, actually what it does, it puts you on a path of happiness, because happiness starts with you. You have to be happy with LaShawn. Alfred has to be, AJ has to be happy with AJ to be able to attract happiness. Because if you don't have happiness in you, how can you attract it? You just can't. You can't. You can't attract what you don't have.
Right.
So
you attract
I
what
thank
you. Are. Exactly.
Exactly. You attract exactly what you are. And I tell you, I love it. I love it. You know something? This has been a phenomenal show. Here we are in the holiday season. I tell you, I'm loving this, LaShawn. You know what? We are coming to the end of another great show. And do you have any special shout-outs for this holiday?
Yes, I do. Shout out to you and Kevin and your mom, who is hanging on in there, and all of your family members, all of our listeners, all of my family and friends, and to everyone who has purchased a copy of I Am Not an Option. And for those of you who haven't, but you're interested in it, please make sure you stop by my website, IamNotAnOption.com, and get your copy today. Order copies for friends, family. It's a really, really great book. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the author, but because I put a lot of love and heart into it. So make sure that you get your copy. And again, shout out to all the readers and our audience.
Same here. My shout out goes to all of your family members, LaShawn. Also to Kevin, all of your family members, and all to my family as well, and all of you listeners and your families. I want to give a shout out. I want everybody to enjoy this festive holiday. We've got New Year's coming around the corner, and so I hope that you're getting it all together. And whatever you've learned in 2018, you move it. Whatever you learned in 2017, that you will go ahead into 2018 and move forward. And as LaShawn always said, focus on love, because love is just it's delicate, it's friendly. Love will get you through. So I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. We had an awesome time. And you know what? Shout out to and Kevin, thank you so much for all the work that you have done. You have worked very hard for keeping us together. And once again, I want to thank all of you listeners and been following us. And now, like I said, we're up to close to 7,000 followers, which is awesome. And we just started the show, I think, back in, July. I think it's only been since July. So here it is in less than 6 months, and let's keep it moving. And I want to leave this show with a matter of fact. You know something? I'm going to do something a little different this evening. I'm going to leave the show by playing a very awesome, great song by a great singer who has passed. This is Mr. Donny Hathaway, and I'm going to leave the show this evening by playing Mr. Donny Hathaway with this song called "Someday We'll All Be Free." I want to thank everybody, along with my co-host LaShawn. Thank everybody. Have yourself a great, great holiday. We will see you in the next year in 2018. Have yourself a great evening, and we love you all. Good night.
Take it
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all around the world, you've been listening to the new Love Unlimited Global Internet Radio program with your awesome hosts, AJ and LaShawn. And we just want to remind you to go to our Twitter account, ladies and gentlemen. Go to our Twitter account, Love UNL Radio. That's Love UNL Radio. And ladies and gentlemen, have the best and awesome new year coming up soon, okay? You guys, take yourself to the next level, and we'll see you on the other side of success. We'll see you on the other side of the future. Take care, and we'll see you next time on the new Love Unlimited Global Radio Network on behalf of AJ and LaShawn. We'll see you now. Take care. Bye-bye.